That seems to be the refrain, at the moment. Okay, very tired. Oh, the good news is one day closer to the weekend, whatever that means. I do believe, however, having said that, I'm not sure what the weather's up in Gauteng at the moment. Would like to, you can maybe share that with us. But usually this time of year, I'm searching my memory now. This is more than 40 years ago when I lived up in the northwest. This time of year, it's almost sort of a regular daily thunderstorm. And then usually build up to a thunderstorm is very humid, hot weather, and then that nice clean smell afterwards after the thunderstorm. Hopefully the thunderstorm is not of the same magnitude as we as we Australia, some parts of Australia experienced yesterday. Apparently the thunderstorm came through. I'm not sure if it's on the northwest coast. I stand to be corrected, but apparently the size of the hail were the size of bowling balls. Bowling ball is quite a number of cricket balls. That's sizable. That can dent your car, and that can put a hole in your windscreen. But yeah, usually this time of year, a lot of thunderstorms, some rather severe up north in Gauteng, Mpumalanga, those areas. Hot and humid down in Cape Town. I think the reason why, well, contributory reason to why Tarquin, you feel very tired, is I think the amount of balls that you're trying to juggle at the moment, the fact that we all nearing the end of October, our systems are run down, we get sick very quickly, we get tired very quickly. As a matter of fact, I went to the doctor yesterday afternoon because I had this, and I wasn't experiencing any particular symptoms. I was just tired. I wake up tired and I stay tired for the day. But I know I've had my 2 vaccinations more than 3 months ago already, and it's definitely not related to that. I said to him, and I spoke to you guys yesterday with my irritating cough. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to went to the doctor. And he says, "Listen, the best thing you can do now is actually take 2 days off." I said, "I can't take 2 days off. I said 2 days off. Who takes 2 days off? And especially this time of year." So I'm doing my sessions, all my sessions online. I'm trying to get a power nap in between. Sometimes it's not that easy if you've got one period off between two. But he put me on a series of vitamin B injections, and he says that's what you need to do. And to get the vitamin Ds that your body needs, that will help with your immune, that will help with a lot of other. It's one of the most important vitamins that you can that your body should have. And the body does produce it, but you have to complement it, and that is just to spend 20 minutes in the sun every day. Just sit in the sun like a lazy lizard or a dassy on a rock or whatever, and absorb the sun, and that's it. Then that will help you. That's like your body then sort of acts like a solar panel, and it absorbs that sunshine, which is what which will basically supplement your vitamin D levels. That's so important for you. Anyway, that's our that's my information session for the morning. Cape Town, I think, also partially contributing to your tiredness is the fact that we're reaching low teens and rain, and then 3 days later it's 32, 33, 35, 3 days in succession. Currently, today is going to be a very hot and humid for Cape Town, humid for a coastal location, and tomorrow it's raining again. So yeah, we're doing our best just to stay safe and healthy. I'm pretty sure you're doing it as well. I'm glad that you two joined. Anybody else that joins during the session, obviously is a bonus. The session is recorded. If you've been on Canvas in week 11, you will see that yesterday's recordings are both have been uploaded, as well as your exam prep. That's 5 slides, as well as your the assessment that you see on the screen. In other words, the memo that we use for the discussion of the assignment. The latest on feedback and releasing your results. I checked this morning, and our emails were coming through from the last people in the queue to say we're checking it today and then it's fine. Okay, so it has gone the full circle through the process, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to release your results for you tomorrow for both your assignment and your test, which is good. You will have the memos, we would have discussed it, and you would and should use that please for your preparation for your exam. Yesterday we started with the assignment and we discussed questions 1 and 2, and especially question 1.2, the application part, where I said I suspected that some of you might have trouble because you are not homeowners and have not gone through the process of buying a house and put yourself in the shoes of the customer. And if you put yourself in the shoes of the customer, it will be easy to complete these 10 steps for a salesperson. But I think, and hopefully, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can you should be able to apply better than you have when questions like this pop up again in future. I also said to you, just in the first session, in preparation for your exam on the 19th of November, there won't be any case studies that in the form of an attachment. There will be short case studies, maybe 5-6 sentences of information. That is not a case study that was downloaded from a website. That was sort of a scenario created by myself, because I set the paper in this case, and therefore I can confidently say to you that there will be case studies in the paper, but it won't be a case study that you have to read through an additional page of information. We also did 1.3 yesterday, and that was listing and discussing any 5 types of, my apologies, desktop research to determine what measures can and were taken by salespeople during COVID to still continue with the process of prospecting and going through the steps in the sales cycle. As I said, for those particular questions, particularly question 2.2 and the 1.2 or 1.3, sorry, that required some research. There's no right and wrong answer there, but there are specific guidelines that I wanted to be included in your answers. Majority of you got that spot on. I didn't have too many problems with that, and actually, in general, I'm slightly disappointed that that the marks were not that high for the assignment, because an assignment, as I have expressed myself on a few occasions, is an opportunity for you to improve your all-over mark for the module, because you have the information in front of you. The question says, do a desktop research and identify 6 ways to prospect effectively during COVID-19. People, that's just going on to, that's just doing a Google search and finding articles that's related to sales in COVID, post and during COVID. And I have listed in this slide, as well as the, in this slide, I have listed some resources that I've used. And there are many more. And as I said, there's no hard and fast answer in that regard for this particular for those particular questions. Right. If we go to question 3, because we completed the first 2 questions yesterday. Right. Let's go to question 3. Question 3 quite clearly says, or let me read the question for you first. There are various techniques that salespeople can follow to close a sale. The type of customer, the type of product, the type of the industry, all impact on the type of technique that is used in each situation. So what we wanted you to do is identify and then explain any 4 closing techniques. And then obviously apply it to Remax, in this case you selling a house, to justify why you say that particular technique would work very well in the industry of real estate. Right, there's quite a number. First one is the direct request. The direct request, usually when after the presentation, and even if there were objections and you have addressed the objections, when a client goes quiet, it means that they are satisfied. It means that there's no further questions that they're going to ask. It's also when there are certain non-verbal indicators, nodding of the head, maybe certain sounds like yes, yeah, those kind of things. That's usually positive non-verbal signs that the customer is ready to take the next step, and that is to close the deal. So there's a direct request. That's one way. Just listen. Okay, right. So if there's no other questions, then should I go get the paperwork, and then we start the process. We fill it in, we complete it, and we put an offer into the seller and see if they accept or whatever. That would be an example of a direct request. You also have a summarized benefits, where basically after the objections have been raised, you will summarize maybe if there's 2 properties that the customer is still considering, you can do a summarized benefits version of the close here by saying, right, so for house number A, the benefits is that it's close to the school, it's close to the shopping malls. The downside is that it's actually a bit far from your work. You're not the first owners. There's maybe 1 or 2 things that you might change, maybe repaint some of the rooms. Option B, benefits close to work, not close to a school that you want to, but also close to a school. You'll be the first owner. Price range for both properties are similar. So your monthly repayment is going to be similar for both cases. Okay, then you basically have summarized the advantages and the disadvantages. You almost sort of, the summarized benefits is very similar to the balance sheet. The next option, the balance sheet close, where you highlight the advantages, you compare it with the disadvantages, and you come to a conclusion. There's also the assumptive close, where the decision has already been taken. Okay, I can share an experience a number of years ago. My kids were still in school, both of them in primary school. We were looking at relocating. Our property was in the market, so we were driving around on a Sunday afternoon, because our house was an open house, and then usually the owners are not around. And we were driving and said, well, let's take the kids for ice cream. Okay, so we, as we're traveling down one of the main roads, I looked at my mirror and I saw that both the boys fell asleep. I was like, all right, that's great. So no ice cream. And then I was obviously I was like, okay, right, where do we go? And I thought of going somewhere, but then I turned the opposite direction. Okay, right, why did I do this now? And as I was asking my wife, well, why was I so silly? Why did I turn left and not right here now? We saw advertisement, one of those houses for show or houses to show. I thought, well, it's a nice area. Let's just have a look. So we drove up the street. We saw the sign on in front of the house, and we said, "Wow, this is actually a beautiful house." When we parked, we realized that okay, it's not the house. It's actually not the one where the sign is up. It's the one right opposite it. And anyway, we were there, so we got out. Boss was still asleep in the car. Walked into the house, greeted by the sales consultant, and we have not gone through the reception area. And my wife says, "This is the house." I said, "Well, we're not even shopping for a house at the moment. Our house has to be sold first, but you know what? This is it. This is what we haven't been. We don't know if it's a 4 or 5 or how many bedrooms. We don't know what the house offers. It was just the whole atmosphere, the vibe just felt right. We didn't talk about prices and anything, and that's a sort of assumptive close where you know the signs that the potential buyer is making from the start immediately indicates to you you don't have to do a lot of selling here. You just have to be ready, keep the forms close because these people are definitely serious. And when we walked through the house, it basically added everything to what we expected it to offer, and we put an offer before we left. And we did eventually buy that house a couple of weeks later, and the deal went through. So that will be an example of an assumptive close. Alternative choices, similar to what I've previously said about option A and B, but you leave it to the customer to decide. Don't force option A or force option B. Don't lean towards a preference, because often salespeople make that mistake. They lean towards the one where they can get more commission. That's no. You're going to win maybe a battle, but you're going to lose the war. When you're offering alternatives to the customer, offer them the alternatives in combination almost with the benefits or the balance sheet close. The alternative choice would be, so right, we've looked at the options A and B. These are the benefits of both of them. And what do you prefer? You prefer A or B? That would be your question to prompt a close. Minor point closes, you start, there's only small little things like, you know what, we're very keen, and actually this, I think, is the house that we are going to buy or put an offer in. But there's just these two things that I want you to clarify with the seller, please. Maybe it's about a specific painting, or maybe like in one case is that I bought a house, there was a Wendy house at the back. I didn't need a Wendy house. I was probably not going to put up a Wendy house, but the fact that there was one, and Wendy houses are not, it's not part of the house. It's a fixture, and they can actually remove it if they want. But in this case, actually, it stayed. So, but that was something I wanted the estate agent, a minor point that I wanted to just have clarified before we could actually reach a deal. Complement close, we know that it's always good to, especially if customers, when I was lying on my back in January after my knee operations, there was a property show on, I think it's on DSTV channels 170, 173, one of those channels. These property brothers, two brothers, you get them in, they look at your house, they quote for certain changes that they would suggest, and they put the house in the market because you are battling to get it to sell, and then they find you a place as well. That was quite interesting. And one of the things that I think they're still going, one of the very element points that I can still remember from all their shows, every single time that they visited these sellers and potential buyers, they complimented them. oh, you look nice today, or I mean, yo, you're full of energy today. So it's an icebreaker, but it also people like being complimented. So it helps. Maybe they have made up their minds, but they weren't 100% sure. The fact that and often you have to remember that and often when people are buying houses, they're not dealing just with one agent. They're dealing with Remax, and they're dealing with Pam Golding, and they're dealing with international realtors and all different sales real estate companies. And it's usually what can make and break a deal is for instance, if you as the agent representing your particular company compliment the customer regularly. They were maybe deciding to between two properties offered by two different real estate agents. You came in, you were very complimentary, you were very friendly, and that might favor you, and then they might start favoring you and obviously the property that you offer. Negotiation, we know that price is obviously always a thing, and especially in property. As I said, in my experience of buying and selling 10 houses over my lifespan of 50 odd years, I've never ever bought a house for the price that it was advertised, and only once have I sold a house for the price it was offered. But that was a desperate situation where this person has he's already working in Cape Town. His family is in Pretoria. He's been flying back and across. He's here during the week. He's there over the weekends, and some weekends they come with because they are shopping for houses, and they basically have run out of time. And then he saw what he wanted, and he offered me exactly, and eventually paid me 5,000 more than I was offering, just to make sure that the deal goes through. My apologies. But negotiation will always be a form of a close here, where the customer says, you know what, sir, this is definitely the house for us. Darko, I'm telling you, I'm going to buy this house. There's just one thing I want you to clarify for me. The offering 1.8, I want to put an offer in for 1.7. Do you think it's a realistic offer? Do you think they will be considering something like that? If you're a good agent and you've done your homework and you know your sellers, you would say, you know what, I think 1.7 is a very good offer. You will take that offer and you will negotiate on behalf, obviously, of the seller. But there will always be in property transactions, there's always a negotiation, and that's usually a very good closing. The indication that the closing the sale is just around the corner, because they want the house, they just want the best price. Right. Any questions? Anybody at this stage? Luando, welcome. How are you doing today? Luando, you good? I was thinking Luando is good because he's not replying. I'm going to scroll down, see maybe he's typed something for me. Doesn't look like it either. Well, I can tell you that so far, Luando, from the 3 students that are online at the moment, is the only one who's done the class test. Just a friendly reminder. Class test number 4 is available. It's been available the whole week, but it's closing today at midnight. Class tests, there's no, sorry, I missed it. Can you open it for me again? No. Doesn't work like that. We've had this request previously. We were copied in. By correspondence from our academic manager, who says that there were some cases where on other module students have asked for for the class test to be open again so they can answer it. And the question, straightforward, is no. It's like missing a class. You have the recording that you can watch and listen to later on. You have the slides that you can visit, Class test, unfortunately, it's open, and especially in this case, it's been open the whole week. And I reminded people last Friday that it's available the whole week because we've completed the work that will be covered in that class test. So just a reminder to yourselves. I know, Tarquin, you'll do it later sometime today. It's going to take you probably 20 minutes, if that much. My apologies. Class test 4, open till 12 o'clock tonight. If you are good friends with your rest of your classmates, just remind them again. I will remind everybody again in the 5th period that we have later today. Let's go to question 3. Question 3 says that, question 4, sorry. We've done question 3. We need to do the second part of question 3, and that is 3.2. List and discuss 5 types of objections raised by customers and prospects and provide an example related to Remax for each objection. Now, again, there's quite a number of objections. How do you get your marks? You had to identify 5. In other words, if you said to me, it says list and discuss, remember? So I've been reasonable and very lenient when I graded the assignment. It says list and discuss. In other words, if you said to me hidden objection, and then you gave me an example related to Remax, you probably got 2 marks, but you should actually get 1 because you have identified the objection. The example that you gave me is relevant to the objection that you have listed, but you didn't tell me what a hidden objection is. Okay, so important again, and this is part of your preparation and part of revision for your exam. Read the question, read it thoroughly. And I said to you, can you still remember what I said to you before your term test in that final session? That teacher was on the radio that morning playing the GK pop quiz on KFM breakfast show. He says there's only 3 things that he tells his students. There are only 3 rules that apply to an exam and a test. Read the question. Number 2, read the question. Number 3, read the question. Okay. And I know that you have enough time. I know you will have enough time. You will save yourself time if you read the question thoroughly. List and discuss any 5 and provide an example. Now you see 5 times 2. Do you think you're going to get 2 marks for each of them if you just name them and give an example? Do you think name and discuss is 2 marks and then no marks for the example? Why would I then ask for example? So people, read the question. It's quite clear. You have to, for 1 mark, list and discuss it. In other words, a hidden objection is where customers are hiding a real objection by providing a trivial objection or a trivial statement. Nah, you know what? Not really. No, the color doesn't. They are hiding it because, but what they're actually saying is, you know what? We don't like this place, or it's too small, or maybe it's too far from work. They're not telling you exactly why they're objecting. Maybe it's out of respect for you. Maybe it's because they are too embarrassed to expose the real reason why they're objecting. Okay, those would be hidden objections. Right, let's look at quite a number more because there's quite a few. The stalling objection. Basically, they're objecting because they need more time to just process all the information, for instance. They sometimes repeat something that you have said. You might have said, you know what, this property has been in the ownership of one. I know this house is 15 years old, but you'll only be the second owners. There's only the first time, the people who moved in here the first time, nobody else has lived in this house. So maybe there's a few things that need to change, whatever, maybe. And that's also always a coat of paint that's necessary because, I mean, your colors that match your furniture often require that. And you also sort of feel like you're moving into a new place if you paint it. Anyway, a stalling objection could be to say, you know what, I heard what you said in but that is what you are saying is that there's a possibility that the owners might actually paint the place for us before we move in. Okay, they're stalling because they want a bit more information to help you. And you could reply, no, that's not what I said. I said it would be nice, but you know what? I can ask the owners if that is possible. Okay, because sometimes if the house is in the market for 1.8 million, and you would like to make an offer for 1.7 million, you as a estate agent could then say, you know what? I know that you want to put an offer in for 1.7, but you know what? What we can probably do is, if you put an offer for 1.75, and we ask the owner to paint the house interior before you move in, something like that. Okay, that's how you handle an objection like that. But the stalling objection is one that's offered where they basically need more information. The lack of interest and no objection, no need objection. They put an objection in because they're really not interested. They give you a silly reason because but you can also see in combination with the objection, the body language, everything is just like, nah, you know what, and they're just being polite, but very borderline similar to the stalling objection. Although the people who are stalling want more information, the people who are not interested are objecting, but they're not necessarily objecting in such a manner that they want more information. Financial objections, always the case. There will always be financial. You can assume that that's one of the objections that you will always get from customers. Price too high. You know what? Price is too high. Let's work on it. What are you prepared to pay? Okay. Product related objection. It could be that maybe it's a it doesn't offer you all the specs that you wanted. People, when they shop for houses, have something in the back of their minds. They need 3 bedrooms, but then maybe they want to use the 3rd bedroom as a study. Now they're getting a house with 2 bedrooms and a study. That could be an alternative, so that could work. Or they get a 3-bedroom house, but the main bedroom is very big and actually will allow you to put a little desk in the corner, so you can actually use it as office space. Again, those are all things that people can object to. You know what, we would have preferred the bedrooms to be a bit bigger, or maybe the 1 bedroom offering a bit more space, so I can actually put my desk there. That's an objection related to the product. Okay, maybe maintenance outside, the house needed a bit of extra attention, but then people they object to it. Doesn't mean that they don't want it, but it is where you as a salesperson take notes, because maybe when a possible offer is then made that you take to the seller, you can say, you know what, they're very keen on buying this house, but there are a few things that needs attention. Maybe the gutters, maybe the garden, whatever. So there's 2 things that we can do. You can either accept their offer and then they will move in and do these things themselves, or you can maybe counter offer them, but then also do some of the improvements. Not all of it, but some of the improvements. So again, you play it both ways. The company objection, it could be that these particular customers had a problem previously with Remax, or with a previous estate agent at Remax. Okay, so the objection is directed at the previous individual that they work with, or with the company or the brand Remax in this case. It's quite easy. Make them like you, and not because they're going to buy the house from you. They're going to buy the house because of what you say and how you present it, and not necessarily who you represent. Because you get good agents at a bad agency, but you also get bad agents at a good agency. Okay, so it's not always necessarily the brand. Yes, there are some like Seif and these and Pam Golding. They're usually a very highly rated, Taz Everett, highly rated, but it doesn't mean that all the agents are great. Okay, you need to obviously gel very well with the customers, and therefore don't take that objection personally. Just do the best that you can. Right. Question 3. Any questions at this stage, people? Anybody? Are we all good? Klatscher, you guys still awake? Take your power nap. Luandu? You in the bib, Luandu? How's the vibe in the bib? Quiet.
Good, sir. All good.
Good. I know Tarquin is battling, but he's hanging in there. It's Thursday. Hang in there, people, even if it's by your nails. We're almost done. We have 5 minutes. I think I might be able to do part of question 3, and then we only have question 4 to do in the next session, and then I'll also attend to the test and discuss and give you feedback on discuss the memo and give you feedback on the test that you wrote. Right. Question number 4.1. Prepare a creative illustration. The illustration there, I think only one student gave me an illustration that does not completely represent that at all. That particular image illustration that you see on the screen is actually from your textbooks. Right. You got a mark for each of the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you got a mark if you gave me an illustration. If you created the illustration yourself by doing your own blocks and arrows and stuff like that, also good. Okay, but if you just downloaded something like this and inserted an image like that, you got your 5 marks, and most of the students got the 5 marks there. It was only, I think, one student who did not get the 4 steps correct. Right, explain in detail each step. First step, setting call objectives. Remember, this is the illustration, and I think that's probably where the misunderstanding or where the question was misinterpreted by the student who got this wrong, was that the the illustration that was provided was not about the steps in planning the sales call. And that's why reading the question is important. Each step in the planning of a sales call. Your illustration is for the planning of a sales call. Those 4 steps. Right, you set objectives first. What do you want to achieve when you need to, before you pick up the phone, you need to know what you want to achieve from this particular conversation. Do you want just to share information? Do you want to just update the information of the customer? Do you want to make an appointment? You have to set objectives, what you want to achieve. Secondly, gathering information, asking questions. Again, in line with your objections. Are you asking questions to get updated information? Are you asking questions so you can actually identify what the customer specific needs are? Are you asking questions regarding the availability so you can actually make an appointment? It's gathering information in line with the objectives that you have set. Developing the prospect profile. Now, call is finished. You've made the call. Now you actually you haven't made the call, so you've actually listed the questions that you want to ask. Now you develop a sort of a profile of what you have, and you've got an image in your mind of what the customer looks like, and even what they are, what they will be driving, and where they work and stuff like that. You haven't met the prospect yet. You've gathered information as much as you can, and maybe you have all of that information already on the prospect. You have to almost create a picture in your mind of the customer and his or her family before you actually pick up that phone. And then obviously develop a presentation, because they might say, oh geez, yeah, I'm available whole of the week. I'm actually have taken a couple of days off. I can see how this every day. Oh, okay, then you're sort of like a Jack Russell who's chasing a car, like, the car stopped right now. You have to prepare your presentation in case the customer says, yes, you can come now. Can I meet you half an hour? Oh, geez, no, I haven't done my presentation. You're not going to say you haven't done your presentation. You must have done your presentation. That's why it's the 4th step in planning the sales call. You haven't made the call. You're planning to make a call. These 4 things you have to have finished before you pick up the phone to make the call. Right. Only things that's remaining, I'm not going to discuss it with you. Our time is finished and you have another class, is question 5 and question 6 were about the grammar. It was about the language. It was about the referencing. I have included the rubrics that was used to see in each of these columns what you have to do to get 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. That's it for the first period. I will see you